to talk to you today about how we need new economic theories for a new era of inequality. 60 years ago, Nicholas Caldor, the great British economist, put forward a series of stylized facts which he said should be the basis on which economic theorists should model economies. Among the leading stylized facts was the constancy of the share of capital income in national income as a whole. So the constancy of factor shares, the constancy of the share of capital in national income was a key stylized fact which Caldor put forward. And in fact, what has happened in the last 25, 30 years, according to the work of Thomas Piketty and others, is that the share of capital in national income has increased quite dramatically over the last 35 years. The question is, how can this be consistent with another stylized fact which we see in today's era, which is that the capital output ratio, the ratio of capital to national income, has also increased. And there's much debate amongst theorists as to whether these two stylized facts for our current era, the rising capital output ratio and a rising share of capital in national income, can together be made consistent. And we know that if we apply a marginal productivity theory of income distribution, in other words, where factors are paid their marginal product in competitive factor markets, then these two stylized facts cannot be reconciled very easily. Technically speaking, what you need is an elasticity of substitution between capital and labor which is greater than 1. And this is empirically almost never found to be the case. So we seem to be in a bind where our standard ways in which we think about how capital and labor are remunerated, and from that, if we calculate the share of capital in national income, that the trends in that share are inconsistent with the other stylized fact that the capital-labor ratio has been increasing, that the capital output ratio has been increasing. There are many possible ways in which one could try this, but I think the key issue here is whether the competitive theory of factor remuneration is valid or not. In particular, the role of economic rents in determining the distribution of national income is crucial. As Joe Stiglitz has put forward, and Joe Stiglitz has talked about this in some of his writings. And let me give you two examples that Joe Stiglitz gives, which I think are really quite illuminating. Firstly, take housing on the French Riviera. Okay? If the value of this housing is pushed up as a result of rich foreigners coming to buy that plot of land, the rents to that land increase. And the purchasing power of those who own that land also increase. And that will be revealed in national accounts as being an increase, certainly in the share of income going to wealth. However, the land facing the Riviera hasn't changed at all. The physical input to production hasn't changed at all. So national output has not changed at all. So here we have a case where the distribution has changed, but without any change in physical inputs. Let me give you another example, which again Stiglitz gives. Suppose through political connections and political lobbying, banks are given an implicit guarantee because they're considered to be too big to fail. If they're too big to fail, then the government will implicitly step in and stop that. Well, this implicit guarantee, essentially to the owners of banks, will push up the value of the shares of banks because they'll now be more valuable. Of course, corresponding to this is an implicit liability on everybody else, but that we don't count in our national accounts. And so here we have another case where, through the political economy of the system, through the redistribution of rents, the distribution of wealth is made more unequal, the share of national income going to capital, to financial assets, increases, but nothing has changed in terms of production. These two examples should make very clear that unless we move from conventional economic theorizing on how factors are remunerated and move to a discussion of monopoly, of rents, of political economy, we will not be able to explain the stylized facts of the current era. Perhaps the Caldor stylized facts from 60 years ago could be explained by conventional economic theorizing, but conventional economic theorizing simply will not do to explain the inequality changes of our era. Thank you.